GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Toronto. A 2-alarm fire at the City Shelter Hotel has sparked a lithium-ion battery investigation, and officials warn these fires are on the rise. Traffic is heavy across the downtown core, and Danforth Pizza House celebrates 60 years of slice serving. Over to you, Nathan.
Guns N' Roses will perform at Scotiabank Arena this Friday, featuring a setlist spanning their classic hits and tracks from the upcoming 2026 album.
Tickets for the show range from $25 to $100, with general admission selling out within hours after the announcement earlier this week.
The concert will begin at 8 p.m., and the arena will open its doors for fans at 7:45 for early entry and merchandise browsing.
Lots to get to. Let's begin our afternoon together, diving straight into the stories that matter for your day. Here are our top stories.
A 2-alarm fire broke out at 2180 Islington Avenue, a 13-story former hotel serving as a municipal shelter. At 5:35 a.m., Toronto Fire Services found burning lithium-ion batteries. Dev Showri has the full story.
At 5:35 a.m. on August 5th, a 2-alarm fire broke out inside the former hotel now serving as a city-run shelter on Islington Avenue. Firefighters from Toronto Fire Services arrived to a thick plume of smoke billowing from the 13-story building that houses dozens of Rixdale residents. As crews battled the blaze, they uncovered a cache of burnt lithium-ion batteries, prompting an investigation into their source and potential role in igniting the fire. The shelter, which has been providing temporary housing for vulnerable families, was evacuated and a temporary relocation plan was set up while the fire was contained. No serious injuries were reported, though several occupants were treated for minor smoke inhalation. Dev Showri, GMNA News, Etobicoke.
Toronto Fire Chief Jim Jessup warns the city of a surge in lithium-ion battery fires after 2 separate incidents erupted within 24 hours this week, highlighting growing safety concerns. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
2 lithium-ion battery fires erupted within a single day, prompting Toronto's fire chief to issue a warning. The first blaze broke out at a downtown apartment complex early Tuesday morning, traced back to a faulty charger in a resident's bedroom. Hours later, a second fire ignited in a suburban warehouse where a pallet of reclaimed electronics was stored, also linked to a compromised battery pack. Chief Jim Jessup said the incidents illustrate a growing pattern, urging residents to inspect chargers, avoid overcharging devices, and keep spare batteries away from heat sources. He reminded the public that proper disposal and regular maintenance can reduce the risk of similar emergencies. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, Toronto.
Premier Doug Ford could call by-elections today in 3 Ontario ridings, including Scarborough Southwest, which has been vacant since February, as provincial law allows a premier to schedule elections within a prescribed timeframe. Simone Okonkwo has the full story.
Premier Doug Ford is weighing a decision to set the date for by-elections in 3 Ontario ridings, with the announcement expected today, August 5th, 2026. The move would address the vacancy in Scarborough Southwest, which has sat empty since February after the previous member resigned. Under provincial law, the Premier has a limited window to call a by-election once a seat is declared vacant, and he is now within that timeframe. If the writs are issued, voters in the 3 constituencies will head to the polls later this year to fill the open seats. The timing could also reshape the balance of power ahead of the next general election. Simone Okonkwo, GMNA News, Toronto.
A cooking fire erupted in a downtown Toronto apartment Thursday, killing 1 resident. Paramedics and fire crews responded quickly, but the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. Tobias Kwan has the full story.
Firefighters and paramedics rushed to a downtown Toronto apartment building just minutes after a cooking fire erupted on the 4th floor. Witnesses said flames spread rapidly from the kitchen, filling the hallway with smoke. crews worked to contain the blaze while evacuating nearby residents. Despite their efforts, one resident was found unresponsive and was pronounced dead at the scene. The cause of the fire is believed to be cooking activity that ignited nearby surfaces. The building was cleared, and investigators are now reviewing the incident. No other injuries were reported as the emergency teams completed their response. Fire crews deployed multiple hoses and a ventilation fan to control the smoke, while paramedics set up a triage area outside the building. Tobias Kwan, GMNA News, Toronto. Visa data shows consumer spending surged in Toronto and Vancouver on World Cup match days in June through July 2026, reflecting the tournament's local economic impact. Simone Okonkwo has the full story.
On the days when the World Cup kicked off in Canada, retailers across Toronto saw a noticeable uptick in sales, with Visa reporting a rise in consumer spending that outpaced the surrounding weeks. The surge mirrored a similar pattern in Vancouver, where restaurants, bars, and merchandise stalls reported higher receipts as fans gathered to watch the matches. Visa's data, covering the June through July window of 2026, ties the spike directly to the FIFA events hosted in the two cities. Local merchants described longer lines and fuller tables, while transit stations recorded heavier foot traffic as supporters streamed in from across the province. The boost came as the tournament drew both domestic and international crowds to the host venues. Simone Okonkwo, GMNA News, Toronto.
Heavy congestion slowing commuters and will break down the impact on your drive home. Stay tuned, we will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Toronto Maple Leafs have named Andy O'Brien as Vice President of Sport Performance, adding an executive to steer player training and performance initiatives. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
Maple Leafs announced today that Andy O'Brien has been named Vice President of Sport Performance, joining the club's front office to direct player development, conditioning, and analytics. O'Brien arrives from a background in high-performance sport, most recently serving as Director of Performance at a major European hockey organization, where he oversaw training protocols and injury prevention programs. The team said his mandate will include integrating sports science across the roster, coordinating with coaches and medical staff, and refining the data-driven approach that drives on-ice results. The appointment comes as Toronto prepares for the upcoming season in the near term, with O'Brien expected to report directly to the general manager. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, Toronto.
Toronto Blue Jays have added starting pitchers Jose Soriano and Spencer Arrighetti, while sending outfielder Dalton Varsho and reliever Jeff Hoffman to other clubs. A roster shakeup announced by GM Ross Atkins. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
Toronto's front office made 2 pitching additions and sent out an outfielder and a reliever as the July deadline closed. General Manager Ross Atkins confirmed the Blue Jays brought in right-hander Jose Soriano and left-hander Spencer Arrighetti, both slated for the starting rotation. In return, outfielder Dalton Varsho and right-handed reliever Jeff Hoffman headed to new clubs. Atkins said the swaps are meant to give the squad a boost after a season that fell short of a World Series berth. The moves come as Toronto reshapes its roster, hoping the fresh arms can steady a struggling rotation and add depth for the stretch run. The transaction was finalized on Tuesday, the final day of the MLB trade window, sealing the roster shake-up. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, Toronto.
Kevin Gausman has been traded from the Toronto Blue Jays to the Chicago Cubs for outfielder Brett Bateman and infielder Ty Southeisine, giving Chicago a veteran arm and Toronto 2 young prospects. Ainsley Booth has the full story.
Kevin Gausman, the veteran right-handed starter, is heading to the Chicago Cubs as the Toronto Blue Jays finalize a player exchange. In return, the Jays receive outfielder Brett Bateman and infielder Ty Southaysine, both regarded as young prospects. The deal was announced at the Blue Jays front office earlier today, with Gausman set to join the Cubs' rotation and make his debut at Wrigley Field later this month. Bateman, a left-handed hitter from the minor league system, and Southaysine, a versatile infielder, will report to the Jays' spring training camp to compete for roster spots. The trade adds depth to Toronto's farm system, while Chicago looks to bolster its pitching staff. Ainsley Booth, GMNA News, Toronto.
Construction of new multiplex housing in Toronto's Dovercourt neighborhood is reducing street parking for nearby residents as the city's push for higher density development tightens available spaces. Simon Okonkwo has the full story.
Construction crews are busy erecting new multiplex units along Dovercourt Road, and the surge of concrete and equipment is squeezing the few on-street parking spots that neighbors have relied on for years. Residents are finding their usual curb spaces occupied by construction trucks and material deliveries, and several have reported having to park farther away or risk tickets. The city's push for higher density housing aims to add dozens of new homes to the area, but the immediate impact is a tighter parking supply for the community. Officials say the development is part of a broader plan to address Toronto's housing shortage, though the short-term inconvenience is already being felt on the ground. Simon Okonkwo, GMNA News, Dovercourt.
Toronto police say a 29-year-old man was fatally struck by a pickup truck in the Downsview Park parking lot on Friday. Investigators are now reviewing the incident. Dev Showri has the full story.
Police say a 29-year-old man was struck and killed by a pickup truck in the parking lot of Downsview Park Friday night. Officers arrived to find the victim on the asphalt beside several parked cars, with the truck still in the vicinity. Witnesses told investigators the vehicle entered the lot at a high rate of speed, failed to stop, and collided with the man walking near his car. The Toronto Police Service has opened a criminal investigation, canvassing the area for video footage and speaking with anyone who may have seen the truck. No arrests have been made as detectives continue to piece together the sequence of events. Dev Showri, GMNA News, Downsview.
Let's get a look at your afternoon forecast with our meteorologist now.
A weakening ridge and a southerly jet stream keep skies clear while pressure eases, setting up a warm, calm afternoon. On this date, Toronto's all-time high reached 32.2 degrees in 2018, a brief spike during a lingering heat wave. The record low of 12.9 degrees fell in 2013, when an Arctic blast pushed unusually cold air deep into the Great Lakes Basin. Normal August highs sit around 27 degrees with lows near 21, so today's 25-degree peak feels modest against the historical extremes, yet still above the seasonal average. The live radar is completely quiet across southern Ontario, with no rain echoes in any quadrant. A stable high-pressure dome draped over the region this morning, while the southwest jet aloft steers any upstream disturbances far to the north. With no lift mechanisms in place, the atmosphere remains dry and the clear sky will persist until after sunset, allowing us to shift focus to today's temperature evolution. At noon, the thermometer reads 21 degrees under a cloudless sky, humidity perched at 86% and a dew point of 19 degrees, making the air feel muggy despite the light breeze. The pressure is near average but beginning to fall, signaling a subtle shift toward unsettled weather later in the week. Overhead, a southwest jet moves at 56 kilometers per hour, reinforcing the gentle southeast surface flow of 1 kilometer per hour. UV index stands at 8, and the maximum wind will reach 10 kilometers per hour from the southeast, well below the threshold for noticeable gusts. No weather alerts are active, and precipitation is not expected through the evening. Thursday will climb to a high of 26 degrees and dip to a low of 19, with overcast conditions dominating the day. Friday brings a similar high of 26 and a low of 21, overcast with a 30% chance of rain in the afternoon. Saturday mirrors Friday's temperature range, overcast and a 30% rain probability, especially late in the day. Sunday clears dramatically, high 26, low 19, and mainly clear skies from sunrise to sunset. Monday returns a high of 26 and a low of 20, accompanied by light rain and a 35% chance of precipitation. The pattern reflects a lingering mid-latitude trough that will keep the jet stream southward, allowing periodic cloud cover and modest temperature swings through the week. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic's heavy, the National Bank Open second round is underway, and Danforth Pizza House celebrates 60 years. More after the break. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Heavy traffic is building near the RBC Amphitheater on Lake Shore Boulevard, with queues stretching several kilometers and speeds dropping to 10 kilometers per hour. Behind that, Dufferin Gate is snarled as well, and downtown corridors on Bay Street and York Street remain congested, especially during the mid-morning rush. Drivers on Eglinton Avenue West should expect lane closures that are reducing capacity to a single lane in each direction, while Finch Avenue West and Croatia Street are also operating with one lane closed. Don Mills Road and Falk Avenue are seeing similar restrictions, and Lake Shore Boulevard West continues its lane closure work, adding further delay for eastbound traffic. All other major routes, including the Gardiner and the 401, are moving freely at this time. On the transit side, the Line 1 night closure ended early this morning, so subway service is back to normal and no shuttle buses are required. Expect conditions to improve after the afternoon peak.
Guns N' Roses storms Rogers Stadium tonight, delivering classic riffs, soaring vocals, and a thunderous stage show, perfect for anyone craving a rock night out and a chance to hear Sweet Child O' Mine live. The National Bank Open continues at Sobeys Stadium with the women's second round, where rising stars battle for a spot in the quarterfinals, delivering high-tempo rallies that keep every fan on the edge of their seat. If you're after fresh beats, Alex Sarah and Toady Dub take the decks at the Mod Club, spinning deep house grooves and melodic synths that keep the downtown crowd moving long after midnight. Looking ahead, Jerkfest lights up Centennial Park later this week, a 3-day celebration of Caribbean food, music, and community, while Chris Stapleton's All-American Roadshow lands at Rogers Stadium on Thursday, promising soulful country anthems for a night of pure storytelling. And now here's Marcus with sports.
Morning Buzz Toronto, here's the latest on our Blue Jays battle and roster shakeup. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. battled through a tired night at the plate on Tuesday, and the lingering discomfort could sap his power swing as the Jays head into a crucial stretch. Expect the lineup to adjust, perhaps giving extra eyes to the middle order while he recovers. Toronto fell 7-2 in Houston, and the loss deepens the offensive hole while exposing a shaky bullpen. Trey Yesavich's left knee issue forced an early exit, leaving the rotation thin and prompting the manager to lean on the depth arm for the next road game. 4 deadline acquisitions finally found footing Tuesday, easing the clubhouse's early season scramble. As each newcomer settles, the Jays gain fresh depth at the outfield, bullpen, and bench, giving manager more flexibility and sparking competition for roster spots as the season's grind intensifies.
Danforth Pizza House on Danforth Avenue in Greektown is celebrating 60 years of slice serving. Since 1964, the family-run pizzeria has been dishing out thin crust classics, from pepperoni to the famed spinach feta special to generations of Torontonians. This anniversary weekend, they're unveiling a limited edition heritage pizza and hosting a community street party with live music and a mural unveiling. In a city where trends come and go, Danforth Pizza House remains a reliable gathering spot where neighbors meet after work, kids celebrate birthdays, and newcomers get a taste of authentic local flavor. Owner Maria Papadopoulos says the secret is simple: respect the dough and the community. It's more than a restaurant, it's a living reminder that the city's strongest roots grow from shared meals. Coming up, Laval police seized millions in assets and drugs from a crime ring. Then we'll explore Marineland's final days. Stay tuned. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Toronto's newest affordable housing breakthrough opens today, with federal and city funds delivering 17 units on Torbolton Drive, a fast-track solution aimed at easing the housing crunch in Etobicoke North. Officials say the project could become a template for expanding low-cost homes citywide, helping families find stable rents faster. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, Jordan Parker. I'm standing on the freshly paved front steps of 50 Torbolton Drive, the sun catching the new paint on a once empty brick building in Etobicoke North. A ribbon, bright red, lies across the doorway as city officials and federal representatives gather, their voices mingling with the chatter of neighbors who have waited years for a place to call home. Inside, 17 affordable units gleam with modern fixtures. Each apartment holds a kitchen, a living room, and a small balcony that overlooks a community garden sprouting seedlings. One family steps forward, their neurodivergent child clutching a sketchbook, eyes bright with the promise of stability. The renovation, funded through a federal-city partnership, turned a dormant structure into a fast-track solution for housing scarcity. This project stands as a prototype, showing how collaboration can quickly create safe, affordable homes for Toronto's most vulnerable families. For families like the Martins, this new doorway means stability and hope. Carl Dumont, virtually at 50 Torbolton Drive.
Welcome back. Laval police have seized millions of dollars in assets and a large quantity of illegal drugs after a months-long investigation targeting an organized crime group aiming to dismantle its operations. Simone Okonkwo has the full story.
Police in Laval wrapped up a months-long investigation Tuesday, seizing assets worth several $1 million and a sizable stash of illegal narcotics from an organized crime ring operating in the city. Officers executed coordinated raids across multiple locations, confiscating cash, luxury vehicles, and property believed to fund the syndicate's operations. The drug haul included kilograms of cocaine and heroin, enough to supply streets for months. Detectives said the operation aimed to cripple the group's financial network and halt its distribution channels. The seizure marks the latest result of a sustained effort by Laval law enforcement to dismantle organized crime footholds in the region. Authorities will continue monitoring related networks as the investigation proceeds. Simone Okonkwo, GMNA News, Laval.
Marineland, the Ontario marine theme park, is winding down operations after decades of attracting millions of visitors with its killer whales, seals, and the world's largest captive beluga pod. Simone Okonkwo has the full story.
Marineland is beginning the final chapter of its more than 6-decade run, slowly shutting down attractions that once drew crowds from across the province. The park's iconic killer whale shows, seal and sea lion performances, and dolphin displays are being retired as the facility prepares to cease operations. Even the world's largest captive beluga pod, a long-standing draw for families, is slated for relocation. Management says the decision follows a gradual decline in attendance, though the park still logged millions of visitors over its history. Staff are overseeing the careful transfer of animals and the removal of rides, while the emptying grounds echo the silence of a once busy summer destination. City officials have been briefed on the timeline, and nearby businesses are already feeling the impact of fewer tourists. Simone Okonkwo, GMNA News, Toronto.
Thank you, Toronto, for joining us on the lunch break. Today's look at the 2-alarm fire at the Shelter Hotel highlighted the growing concerns around lithium-ion batteries. I appreciate your attention and insight. Tune in tomorrow for more local stories and a fresh perspective on what matters to you.